it was like I want to say 2 weeks prior to the last game of the season, so it was about 2 or 3 games left the last time uh, we went on the air and we was making predictions. So now I'm gonna take a look. Um, yeah, so it's not no Monday night football this week. Okay, so everybody played in week 18. Um, it was a frustrating Sunday to be honest with you. Damn near none of the teams that I wanted to make it, they couldn't pull through. But I am glad to see some new faces in competition. I think a lot of us was definitely getting tired of the same matchups, the same teams coming out on first and second in their divisions. And, it was good to see some turnovers, and, a little bit of a mix up. So I ain't gonna hold y'all too long this morning. We're gonna get right into it. First and foremost, I didn't really show Kansas City that much love on the last time we went on. I got to a whole lot of love Kansas City fans. Pat Mahomes, man, they didn't really give Pat Mahomes his coverage like they normally do, mainly because a lot of the studs on their offense are either playing in other places or they haven't been on the field that much this season. But nonetheless, the man has been permanently outstanding like normal. They just posted a 14-3 record. You know, in the AFC, I mean, take a look at their division, bro. They in the AFC West. I mean, the scary thing about the Chargers is the Chargers record never reflects how good they actually are. Like for some reason, they can't never hit their ceiling of potential. But when you play them, especially when you're the Chiefs, it's a dogfight every time because it's two good teams, but they've got, pardon my language, shit ton of talent. You know, and so does Kansas City, but they don't have as much as they once had. So you got to play them twice a year. You got to play, the Raiders wet the bed ultimately. With is getting a little older and they're not producing at the rate of their, what I'm saying, their counterparts and their peers. And we're gonna get to that on another episode. But, the play at quarterback caused them to wet the bed. So they was out of commission. Don't even get me started on that damn Russell Wilson in Denver. So there wasn't a whole lot of competition in their division, but nonetheless, only losing 3 games. They have the best record in the AFC. No more Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelsey's out there, but those guys they were able to throw out there, and they ran the ball a little bit. But it was the Pat Mahomes show. It was the Pat Mahomes show. The defense, the secondary actually looked good this year in Kansas City, unlike most seasons. But I ain't seen no 14-3 coming. So, major love to them. Shout out to them. I'm looking for them to at least go back to the AFC Championship this year. It's gonna be tough though, and the reason why I say that is because look below in the wild, because Kansas City had to do all that just to get a bye. So in the wild card right now, we got Buffalo in Miami. Now I told y'all about how I felt about Miami last time. I got some time on me, so I can get a little bit more into detail. They got so much speed, you know. I be feeling like they play too fast. They gonna trip over themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole offensive scheme is predicated on speed. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, man. Tua ain't out there throwing no darts, man. Tua ain't out there doing nothing amazing with the football. He just plays with speed. Everybody as fast as Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, all these. It's a speed festival out there. So when Tua overthrows you by 3 to 5 yards, you can just pick that up on foot. It's all Gucci. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, very, very difficult to keep your man in front of you when he's shaking and baking like that. Pause. It's hard. So they just barely got in with the 7th seed, but nonetheless they in. That's an upset alert for Buffalo, just for the simple fact of the the nature of the playoff game, man. Like, their head coach only got one interview. The Miami Dolphins was on the team that gave him an interview. These are things that's going to matter in the game, that man's going to come in motivated. He has more than enough to cook with to beat Buffalo. Now, I love Buffalo. I always have. I've watched the progression of Buffalo when they brought on Josh Allen early, and they had guys like the tight end Clay, when they had guys like Knox, when they were trying to work the wheels on Sammy Watkins and stuff like that. Like I've watched from that era all the way till now what they've turned themselves into, and they're perennial competitors. You know what I mean? Like they're going to go to a Super Bowl at some point. In the next 3 seasons, absolutely. And this year, the only kryptonite that they have is in division games. That's it. That's all. That's the only kryptonite that they got. Let's take a look at their division. And you already know how this story goes with the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets. When everybody is it's never in between. It's one team doing great, usually either the Patriots or the Bills, and everybody else sucks, or it's the biggest dogfight in the NFL. For some reason, the AFC East and the NFC East, we have the same sort of trends. Like either it's very, very top heavy, or it's the most competitive division in football. I don't know why that is, and that pretty much sums up what happened this year. You got Buffalo at 13-3, and the Dolphins was able to squeeze in because they was able to go above 500. Unlike the Patriots, where they lost that game in the last game of the season, so now they finished at 8-9. Well, if you go look at everybody else, the Steelers is in third place and they 9-8. Uh, you know, the Tennessee Titans ain't make it, but the Jacksonville Jaguars is 9-8 and they first in their division. So you eight, there's no room for any competition at 8-9. You got to be 9-8, and then it's gonna come down to division wins and points and things of that nature. But if you just look at everybody else around you, I mean, the Chargers are 10-7. You know what I mean? And they just barely made it. Also, they got the fifth seed. So the Patriots was out of there, but they were 8-9. The Jets ended up going 7-10 at going being last. So they had competitive. Same thing with the AFC. Dog fight games, and it's not like they play back to back. So it's like you're not getting an accurate judgment of what they look like against one another. The first time they played was in September. It was on the 25th. Low scoring ball game was 19-21. Miami ended up taking victory. So dig this. When they played again in December on the 17th, is a 3 point difference now. Instead of 2 points, now it's 3 points. Buffalo in a high scoring game went 32-29. So this one's going to be a treat when they play. This is going to be one of those games you don't want to miss. If they play at 1 o'clock or something like that, you want to make sure your TV's on. If you don't got no TV, if you got to hop in the car and get on the radio, go do it, please. You don't want to miss Buffalo versus Miami, and then home field. If Miami comes to Buffalo and if they can withstand that cold and just stick to their game plan, I'm telling you, Buffalo's gonna have a problem if they can't stay true to form. I'm telling you, because that's the only thing that really factors into all of this is home field. Who is playing where? The polar opposites. Miami and Buffalo is polar opposites. So that's going to be a treat. Let's get into it with the next matchup: the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, in my personal opinion, I do not feel like the Ravens necessarily earned their way to this spot, mainly because they didn't have no Lamar. They lost. They would have won more games had they had Lamar. They dropped hell 2 out of 4. You know, their division mainly took up all the playoff spots. Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh are all, what I mean, in the post. Oh shit! Actually, no, they're not. So Jacksonville ended up taking that spot. Okay. So Cincinnati is going against a division, rival with the Ravens. This one is kind of open and shut for me. Like if Lamar's playing, I'm rolling with Baltimore. No questions asked. I love Cincinnati. Um, Potent offense, but hey, you got to stop who in front of you. You can't stop who in front of you. I ain't got no faith in you. Nor should I. You know what I'm saying? This is professional football. It's professional sports. You got to be able to stop who's in front of you before you can start talking about anything else. Um, but that goes for the Ravens as well, though. It ain't like they've been defensive studs all year either. You know what I'm saying? They've got that one DB. I honestly don't even know his name. I just know his number. He's outstanding, number 44. Uh, I just saw a stat, or he had pretty much a shutout season. He gave up 0 touchdowns this year. But that's one guy. That's one guy we haven't seen. One guy's not going to lean the field. We ain't seen that since Dion and maybe Darrell Reeves. So one dude is not going to just lean the whole field. But maybe if it does, we'll find out when they play. And we go look at their history. Baltimore won a close one against them. I was actually watching that in October. That was a good game. I think this will really be a good game if Lamar plays. Then that's what I'm hoping for. But in January when they played, man, I think he might have just caught the little ankle injury, and I think that's when he came back and then he hurt it again. So I think he just missed that Cincinnati game, and when they played in January, and Cincinnati ended up getting that one 27-16. Um, so that's gonna be a good game too, though. Like even if Lamar doesn't play, it's the beauty of the playoffs. It's a division game still, and when division games roll over to the postseason, it's usually a treat. So I'm looking for that one to be entertaining as well. But if Lamar's playing, I'm rolling with Baltimore. If it's no Lamar, I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati in the tight one. Uh, we got Jacksonville and the Chargers. I'm rolling with the Chargers. I understand Jacksonville is at the top of their division. Uh, but let's just be honest. They got the worst division of football. It's not even close. Tennessee, Indianapolis, Houston. Houston's steaming hot pile of garbage. Pardon my language. 13-3, 13-1. You win 20% of your games. Uh, you know, it's just not good. Not really much to talk about there. Indianapolis, same thing. It's not good. 4-12-1. You know, you won 26% of your ball games. You're not in. Try again next year. It is what it is. Tennessee, it looked like it was gonna be all right. For a little bit. Like when the last time I went live, it looked like they was doing okay. Like they might be able to steal a spot. But 7-10 was, like I said, is not going to cut it. In the AFC, the AFC is popping. 7-10 ain't gonna cut it. The Patriots just missed it by skin of their teeth, and they 8-9. So 7-10 ain't gonna cut it. Uh, which leaves Jacksonville at 9-8 with number one. So I don't know if they really earned this spot like that. So they only played one time this year, and that was back in September. And I give it to Jacksonville. Jacksonville beat the brakes off the Chargers. But I know the Chargers are tired of being considered pump fakers and bluffs in the NFC, man. I know they're sick of that slander. I know they're looking, to steer the ship in a different direction now that they've actually got the spot. Because the last two seasons, they just missed it by the skin of their teeth on some Patriots type time. A statement. So I'm going to roll with the Chargers, but I mean, it's kind of looking like Jacksonville should be the favorite. But I'm just, making my picks based upon previous experience with all all of these teams, man. Yeah, those are good matchups in the AFC. Let's roll over to the NFC. Obviously, the Eagles got to buy. Now, what the hell is the Eagles' record? Like, let me see. So they 14-3. Okay, cool. That's okay. I'm cool with that. First up in the wild card, we got San Francisco and the Seahawks. Now, when I saw the Seahawks snag the spot, I was confused. I ain't gonna lie. I was confused because I feel if the Seahawks got that playoff spot, then Detroit should have went to the playoffs as well, and not Tampa Bay. But I guess if Tampa Bay doesn't go, then you don't have a representative from the NFC South in the postseason. So I mean, I guess, man, but like, shit. If the division don't play up the par, then shit, don't nobody deserve to go then. That's how I feel. Man, he cats first. I mean, and the Falcons was all 7-10. Now let me tell you what that means in layman's terms. They were one. The whole entire division was one game away from knocking them off. Ain't nobody said Carolina name all season and being in no competition to go get no playoff spot. Ain't nobody said New Orleans name, Atlanta name all year in competition to go get no playoff spot. They was one game away. Three of those teams finished with a 41% win percentage. Tampa Bay finishes with a 47. Fast over to Detroit. Detroit gets a last minute win. They go 9-8. They number two in their division. They got a 52% win percentage. So I'm thinking to myself, how the hell they don't get in? Well, that means there would be no NFC South representation in the playoffs. I think the NFL, depending on how this postseason goes, I'm not necessarily sure what kind of analytics they would be looking for to entail this. But I think they need to check that out, you know, because I think Detroit deserved that spot, even if it means no NFC South representation. That's just me, you know. But that's the matchup. I'm going to roll with the Vikings, and then they got Tampa Bay versus us. If the Cowboys lose to Tampa Bay this year, I'm done with them. I'm done until they just do a rebuild. Then I'll get back on the bandwagon. I'm done with them. You know, I'm rolling with Dallas, but they better not make me look bad, man. Y'all know who it is. Prosperity 210 Radio. We'll be back.